Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the
Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember MEAD magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
If we go potty and brush our teeth,
Welcome everybody to the program. Oh, settle down. It's Midnight's Edge After Dark. Welcome everybody. We're here once again on Thursday nights. We got clobbering times. It's time for clobbering time.
It's time to clobber my friends. I'm not to clobber my friends, but to clobber with my friends. Let's be clear.
And that would be abuse.
I'm not going to be abusing or clobbering anyone on this panel unless they get out of line and force me to. But if they behave themselves, they shall not be clobbered. Just want to make that clear. Hello, my dear friends on the panel and my good friends in the chat. Good to see you.
Indeed. And we got the Fantastic Four news yesterday. It always seems to happen on our days off, so I got to get your feelings on that. But,
sure.
We'll get to that in just a few minutes. I want to introduce everybody else. We got Babyface Nick over there. Where'd the beard go?
I cut it to regrow it. That's what happened. That's why it was a deep trim. I didn't go full shave razor and all, but I need to regrow it so that way I can even out the process of it because it was so out of control that no matter how many professional trims are doing, I was getting displeased. It wasn't the barber; it was a me issue. I'm like, you know what? I just need to start over. So we're starting over. It's been this way for about 6 days now, so 2 more weeks and it'll be back to normal.
He's going to go Duck Dynasty next.
Yeah, but hello, chat. Hello, dudes on the panel. Yeah, some news happened. And, well, we're going to talk about it. And we'll find out how huge it is.
Huge ass news, that is. We have CC with us as well. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Been grinding away on the channel. First thing that happened when I woke up this morning is I saw that X-Men trailer. I saw it on my phone and I was like, oh, this looks great. And then the rest of the day happened. And yeah. We're
going to get into that.
How to kill a buzz quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, because like I said, save that thought for when we get to it here. But yeah. Good. Glad to hear it. We also have Bryce. How you doing, Bryce?
I'm good. What's up?
Not much. There's some X-Men news, I guess.
There was some X-Men.
Hey, X people. All right, cut it out.
We're going to get to that here. We got a couple of members here. We got Tim Hayes, who's been here for 28 months. Thank you so much for that. And Olaf, producer over there on the Mr. H-Cast, has been here for 30 months.
Nice.
Thank you. And then let's get into this, guys, because, yeah, there was a trailer for X-Men 97. We can probably watch it because that's one, I guess, good thing about Disney is they're not too claimy. Is that
it is a word now, sir.
It is now.
claimy. Yeah, claimy.
I like
They
claimy.
figure some
I like
PR is
claimy
better than no
hands.
PR.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Here's the trailer that everybody woke up to this morning.
Watch the series finale of X-Men next Saturday morning. Check your local listings.
I'm grateful to have the chance to say goodbye. I am proud of you all, my X-Men.
Fate lies in our hands now. Now.
We have to stay vigilant. The professor entrusted us with his dream.
Okay, you're saying "oh God" already, and I think I know why. Because
the paper. Oh shit.
Yeah. What's this?
Fat mutant fashion
show.
Oh shit.
And it says, look at the top right corner, Hellfire Gala, which is from the recent run that where
it's modern crap.
Yeah, right there is the dead giveaway. And also
Horrible.
they spelled, and I'm going to be a nitpicker because I can, and I'm an actual Marvel fan. Even if I'm not an X-Men fan, I'm a Marvel fan and mostly a Spider-Man fan. They didn't put the hyphen in Spider-Man's name. Even J. Jonah Jameson makes it a point to get that right.
True.
Posers.
All right.
Have to stay vigilant.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even notice
The professor
that.
entrusted us with his dream.
Eagle eyes.
No matter how dark it is.
Oh, wait a minute here. So this is the first thing I noticed. Evidently, they need a different kind of mutants to get Shredder.
I can see that.
Yeah.
See, that's actually funny.
You can call me the Shredder.
Yeah, no. That's actually Magneto, obviously.
We must believe.
But he's wearing purple.
Yeah, it looked like him from behind. And we got Biclops.
We get this done by working together as a team.
Jeez, Bob. Keep buzzing in my ear.
Like, of all the lines they could have used, that was the best one, really.
And they brought him. Glad that it's nice that they brought Cal back or whatever. But man, he sounds old. And Punk Storm. I don't like Punk Storm.
I say I think he might be the only one doing the original voice, and we're going to get to that too.
But look at Punk Storm's hair. Look at Punk Storm with the. That's not even the Punk Storm haircut. That's
SJW
like
Storm.
That's an SJW haircut. Ugh.
Yeah.
Team.
Jeez, Bob. Keep buzzing in my ear.
That buzz bumming out. Yeah, just
Heads up.
I'm surprised that they
quit you, Wolverine.
Ugh.
To me, my X-Men.
What? Wait a minute. That line sucks. What are you, the Silver Surfer? You used to
I
say
thought about
to
that.
me,
To me, my board.
To me, my board.
To me, my board. Yeah, Silver.
What
I thought
the
that was
hell?
actually a nod to Silver Surfer.
Larry Houston cannot be involved in this. Larry Houston never cares about the comics.
Magneto.
The last will and testament of Charles
Wait a minute.
Xavier.
The Village X-Men.
Everything he built.
Nah,
now
Village
belongs to me.
Village X-Men.
There's Village X-Men. Jesus.
It's fun to stay at the Xavier Institute. It's fun.
I'm
to
sorry,
stay
it's
at the
Village X people. I'm
Xavier
sorry.
Institute.
It's fun to say what X-Men CA.
Oh, there you go.
X-Men CA.
CA. Oh man. So yeah, like I know some people are out there going, what are you guys talking about? It looks like the old X-Men. It sounds like the old X-Men.
Why
for the
is
most
Bishop there?
Because DEIESG.
DEI.
Even though I do know he has his fans and people do like him, I will be fair in that regard that he does have his fans, but it's said that he's being used for the wrong purposes because he's a good, strong supporting character. He's not a main character. But that's
he doesn't belong with the X-Men.
No, he's better on his own.
Not a member. Well,
yeah, he's a supporting cast member who shows up for like a few episodes a season,
from
not
the future. Wow.
I think we lost Tom.
And we lost Tom. He must have been.
Oh, no,
he
we
must
lost
have really
Tom.
took this so personal.
He was overwhelmed.
Well, I guess I'll
Mhm.
be Tom Connors for the next 30 seconds, and we'll go around the panel and we'll do our thoughts. Oh, Tom beat me to it. I was gonna say we'll go around the panel, do our thoughts.
No, my shit freaked out when I tried to add this to it. But yeah, go ahead and give your initial thoughts, and then we'll get into this.
Should we have Price start? We'll have Price start at the
Sure.
bottom.
Yeah.
We'll rise to the top.
Go for it.
I mean, again, I'll say that I had some comics Wolverine when I was a kid, and I like the X-Men in general. But this specific series, the original one, I didn't see all the episodes of. I've seen a few episodes of it growing up, but it wasn't one that I watched all of them. Still, I mean, I thought it was interesting that they were continuing it. And initially, when I saw the trailer, it seemed pretty cool. I recognized the theme song, and it seemed like it was sort of continuing it. But after I saw all the other stuff and what you guys pointed out now, it's pretty clear this is more like a He-Man Revelations or whatever that seems something more like that, and doesn't really seem to honor these characters.
Good point. It does seem like that.
Now, CC, you were coming in firing hot about the show, so go ahead.
It's one of my
let
favorite
loose.
shows growing up. You know, I watched it multiple times, really. If I ever saw it on TV, and then after, you know, whenever any which way I could get it, is I was hopeful, obviously guarded, but hopeful. And I woke up this morning and I saw the trailer on my phone. I didn't have the eagle eyes that Nick Weiser and Klobby had off the bat, right? I didn't see the paper. I didn't see the fashion show. What I saw was that they were using the X-Men. You know, that Wolverine and Cyclops looked good in that shot. I was being a little surface level about it. A little blind to some of that stuff, but I liked a lot of what I saw. And then the day went on and I found out what's going on. We got Storm looks like a lesbian now. Rogue looks like a teenager. Guy on the left looks like somebody I don't recognize, and he's a bit definitely
that's Gambit.
Beta, I guess, for lack of better words. I guess
That's
Beast
Gambit.
is
All the way to the left.
Yeah,
That's Gambit.
You know, and I love Gambit, but that's
Look
not.
at
That's
the
not. I
eyes.
don't know who that is, but I don't recognize that person.
He's got the red eyes.
Yeah.
Right. Then the language in this article you have pulled up has has millennial terminology. And I'm right on the border of Gen X and millennial myself. I'm not saying that all millennials are bad, because I think there's some good things, but there's definitely the language is there. It's like adulting and cuddly, and now they mention modern audiences, and it just the further you dig into this, the worse it gets. Now, I mean, I at first I was kind of pushing back a little bit in my mind, like, okay, you know what? We're gonna get these, as we move away from woke, from the worst of the woke era, we're gonna get these shows and things that signal, but they're not really we're gonna move into that stuff where it's like they're gonna be more subtle about it, or they're not really gonna be woke, but they're gonna signal a little bit still, because they're afraid to fully spread their wings or whatever. But this has got too many red flags to think that it's not gonna, I mean, my best hope is that maybe it's not bad enough to completely ruin it. But
what kind of red flag or LGBTQ flag could you speaking of? Number 4.
Yeah, they're not even drawn all that well. The trailer actually looked pretty good in terms of the animation quality, and I was satisfied with that. This picture here is nowhere near where the trailer's at.
It looks more like the last season. I think the last 2 or last 1 season of the original show went to some cut rate animation company, and if you go back and look at it, people just think of the original earlier seasons, which looked good, and it was terrible. It looked terrible. This looks like that. And why does Morph look like a Morlock?
No, we'll get into that. I think
we
you
got
must
more.
not know.
No, I do.
Okay.
No, I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying he just looks like a Morlock right there.
He looks like Chameleon from Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Looks like that dude from fucking Harry Potter.
He doesn't look like Morph, in other words.
Oh, I can see that. I can see why he thought that Tom, but obviously me being the
yeah, you're right.
Spider-Man fan.
I'm not
I
even
saw
a
it
Harry Potter
immediately.
fan. That's what I saw first.
you mean
But I
he
can
We
see-
haven't even we haven't even gone into the voice actors yet, right? That's
Is the
Oh,
guy
no,
with
yeah,
the
part of it.
headband? Is the guy with the red headband? Is that a dude?
That's well, what's more? It's more
former dude.
The
It's
guy on the
Morph.
left that's with the 7, is that a guy or a girl?
That's Jubilee.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's Jubilee. And we're not supposed to say it yet. It's something about the actress that I don't know if you all heard.
Are you talking about the one with the 7 on her chest, or are you talking about the dude who's number 7 with the circle, the red number 7?
No, the one that's on the left. That's
That's Jubilee.
Yes,
That's
Jubilee.
a girl though, so they stayed
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Is
for
that
the
a
most
girl?
part.
She looks pretty much like Jubilee. I mean, she's supposed to be.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
The actress playing her did her voice in the 90s. Said she didn't want to do it because an Asian person should do her voice.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too. Yeah.
Oh,
I
sorry.
noticed she's the same size
no,
as
you're fine.
Wolverine in the picture. It's maybe
Yeah, I didn't
that
even
whole
realize that.
spacing thing a little bit.
He's supposed to be short though.
He's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
but I
true.
mean that's
So Wolverine is a runt in the comics and even the cartoons.
Anything else, CC, on your behalf before we get into what Nick and Clobby thought of the trailer, at least?
I'll save the worst part for after that
All right,
discussion.
fair enough. All right, Nick, what'd you think of the trailer anyway?
It looks.
Nicola.
I caught the gala and the characters that they put in the newspaper right away. Outside of that newspaper, which I knew that newspaper is telling me something, I thought it looked okay at best. I definitely don't like Punk Storm. I really don't. Wolverine's voice is obviously shoddy. Obviously, I can't really fault the voice actor for it. It's obviously age is a thing. Things do happen, so I'm not going to really hold that against them.
Right.
It just feels like this is Bait turned to 11 Spinal Tap style. This is Bait Spinal Tap style. And then you're going to meet the best friend of Bait, or if anything, the frenemy of Bait, whose name is Switch. And when Switch comes on board, you're not going to like Switch. You like Bait. Bait seemed like a nice guy. He lured you in. He gave you a great time. He paid for your drinks. And then Switch
Well, we're gonna lay all that
no.
Bait out.
Oh, no,
yeah.
you're covering this. But like, oh, come on. Bait promised me a good time. Switch says, no. Even if the trick came out of the 90s, I'd say this would look fine. I mean, I actually don't mind some of the designs. I think Beast looks cool, even with his weird shorts.
That's the best.
And I'm not as bothered by the Rogue look. I'm really not. And I actually do like the idea of Cyclops leading a team. Maybe it's because I've had a newfound discovery and love for Cyclops, so I'm not as
I love
bugged by
Cyclops.
that. Yeah, I have turned a leaf towards Mr. One Scott Summers. I feel like this trailer looks like pretty good Bait at best, and we're at the worst Switch that will be unheard of. It's gonna be unparalleled.
Well, we're gonna get into the Switch, yeah. So hold that thought.
Oh yes.
Clobby, on just the trailer alone, what was your reaction?
First of all, egoing 74 may have won the chat room. That Danger Room was never.
Yeah. Danger Room is the space safe.
Well done,
space
sir.
room.
Well done.
Yeah.
The trailer itself. Oh, again, it hit a lot of the right notes that the trailer should, but it's still some of the look to it was kind of. And again, since you reading up on this thing over the past year, the trailer wasn't going to make a lot of cut a lot of ice with me because I know what we're to expect, and I did try to find out. I can't find any info if Larry Houston is involved or not, but I don't think he is. He was one of the key reasons that the original show was any good at all. And in any of those Fox animated cartoons, like the second season of the FF cartoon, which was wonderful. This, the some of the other ones that they made, and I don't think he was involved in this new one or not. But and that's the key, and a couple of the other people too. I think there's someone different doing it now. Maybe one of the original guys is on this, but so I don't know. It was an okay trailer. I can see where Nick is coming from, the old bait and switch thingy, where it kind of makes you wants to pull you in if you're a fan of the of this cartoon. I binged it about a year or so ago. Before only seeing it sporadically through the 90s because I was always working and stuff, and I saw it a good bit, but I binged it all, and I enjoy it. It was fun. It was a fun binge. I recommend it if you like cartoons and superhero stuff. Not a perfect cartoon. A lot of things that they terrible inconsistencies with the comic that aggravated me as a something of a someone who's skeptical, someone who's motivated furious in some ways, and not the biggest X-Men fan either. And really, to be honest, but a fun ride for the most part. Especially the first few seasons. So this was something that would tug at my heartstrings even more if I were a big hardcore fan of the show. And so, yeah, you can see where the bait and switch thing comes in, and it's not going to be good. This switch is not going to be good.
Yeah, and we're about to get to that because, at first glance, I mean, like you, I've been keeping up with this, so I'm more than well aware. And like Nick was also pointing out, kind of looking for the cracks to show. Because,
I
mean, as far as the trailer goes, as far as the animation looks, the music I thought was great. Music was brilliant. It was very well done.
Oh yeah.
Evoked the original show, but also was kind of a new spin on it with a little bit more of a remix to it, a little bit more of a modern feel, but
it doesn't
not
sound
too far from
overly
the
modern where it takes
no.
Yeah,
It's
of the original.
it was done perfectly.
A little bit more. It sounds a little bit more retooled, and that's fine. It's still at the core sounds like the '90s song, which I do give it credit for.
Yeah.
And they didn't like slow down some pop song and try to mix that in somehow or anything like that.
No,
so I'm happy about that.
If it's just the trailer, I'd watch the show.
Yeah. And another than that, for the most part, the animation, I like that it's 2D, but it's a little sterile, and you can tell that that it's obviously they're using computers now compared to the 90s. But I'll give them an E for effort for trying to make it look and feel like the original show.
Yeah, I'll give them that too. I do agree with that. That's
Absolutely.
something I meant to say, and I totally forgot. I am glad that they went with the 2D, even if it is more of a computerized version. I'll take it because I miss good 2D animation. And obviously, I've been a very outspoken fan of Bluey, and Bluey is in 2D computerized, albeit, but it's nice to see 2D like popping up more, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, so what we have here though is the Switch. Now we have showrunner Bo DeMayo. Didn't need to rewatch X-Men the animated series when he started work on its sequel.
Oh, that's the first sign of a red flag.
He binged it all during the pandemic. I don't know if
that's
there wouldn't
better.
be an MCU without the show, he says, of the popular Saturday morning series, which ran from 1992. It's the grandfather of everything we see today. I was gonna say, I hope he watched it growing up because this guy's like 41 years old. So he's clearly still a kid when it came out. Go ahead. Sorry.
If you remember the name Bo DeMayo, if I'm not mistaken, when The Witcher, he was in the writing room of The Witcher and he was saying that they don't like the source material. So on the surface, it seemed like he was against what they were doing there and he wanted to honor source material. And I actually was hoping, I don't know what he's like in his personal life. I have a feeling that he's very much the type of activist or whatever it is. But it seemed like he was trying to imply that when working, he separates from that. But based on what we're seeing here, it seems like it was a false promise. If you know what I'm trying to say, it looks like he just kind of pretended that he separates, but now it looks like he's doing what he said other people are doing.
Yeah.
That, or it almost like he knew what he had to say to get certain people on board. And here's like the kind of stuff this guy has worked on. He has written for Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
Moon Knight.
Okay.
And then, of course, The Witcher, as you pointed out. Yeah.
There goes the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
there it goes. Thank you.
With the memory fresh in his mind, DeMayo went out to the desert in Joshua Tree National Park and thought about the essential elements they need to retain for the new show, the relationships between the characters, the fact that they need to face adult problems in a kid's cartoon, from race to AIDS crisis. Why?
Okay. Thank you.
The exciting powers that could be combined in cool new ways. These were key, speaking to Empire. DeMayo and supervising producer Jack Castorna, sorry, I read that wrong, produced the old new MTV's MVPs of the MCU. So,
MVPs.
yeah, I got this really small on my screen here. Sorry, guys. Let me make this just
Yeah,
a
I
little
was
bit
gonna
bigger.
say you should in big. If you want, I can even read. I'm a decent.
I got it all right for now.
Okay.
So Jake Castorina, that Storina, however you say that, that's the guy.
Castorina?
Yeah, he's a guy who evidently worked on the old show and is working on the new one.
Okay.
Okay, so number 1, that's Gambit. Okay. Gambit is famed for his card throwing skills, his ability to charge objects with energy, and his on-off relationship with relationships with fellow mutant Rogue. This is our true pairing, says DeMeo. To modernize the story and examine that romance, specifically how it's going to work between a telekinetic man and a woman who can't touch anyone without siphoning off their powers and memories.
All right, I got butt in really quickly and say here's how you examine that. If you watch the original series, you can see how that was handled. There's your reference point. That's it. Start, stop. There you go. There's your homework.
Right.
There you
All
go.
right. Well, it goes on here with Rogue. DeMeo refers to Rogue as the great mascot for the show, not in the high school type of way. He interrupts the power that physically isolates her from the rest of the world as the extreme form of empathy. She can find a deeper type of intimacy and connection. You'll see it's a central theme in this season. Jubilee, teenager Jubilee Lee, who can generate pyrotechnic energy blasts from her hands, was always an audience surrogate for younger viewers. Was she? Okay.
Yeah,
but now
that's
role
actually
gets complicated.
Accurate.
Jubilee, well, fuck that now, because Jubilee wants to be an adult, right? Says DeMeo. Well, it's time to start adulting.
It was a mistake to use her anyway in the original show, which should have been Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde's way cooler. Even I know that as X-Men normie. Kitty Pryde is way
She's just
cooler.
a rip-off Kitty with Dazzler's powers.
Storm in the comics, powerful weather mutant Storm, has literally been worshipped by people of the Serengeti. For DeMeo, what's interesting is how she handles those divine expectations. Where is the room for her humanity for this Whammon Queen? I put that in there. Where does she have the ability to be vulnerable when she has that much power? Number 5, Wolverine, the broken-hearted samurai who thinks he's an animal. As DeMeo describes him, has been the heart of the many X-Men X films since the show finished. Yet there's always more to mine. As Castoreno says, what I love is he has the most combat training of everyone on the team just because he's been alive long enough, and he throws it out the window every time. What? That makes absolutely no fucking sense. I get what he's saying, but it makes absolutely no fucking sense. So he's basically saying that even though Wolverine has all this experience because he's old and he's been in several fights and wars, he throws it out the window every time. He does something unexpected every time.
Because he can't have a character who can't be that badass and alpha in a show. Wolverine has his fan base and they need to diminish him so they can probably our characters, which is unfortunate because I don't mind in a general, let's just say a general timeline, propping up the other characters, but the fact that it's going to be done to Wolverine in the time that we are in is where it's very inappropriate, because you could prop up the other characters, you could prop up Rogue, Beast, even dare I say Cyclops in a perfect role, but the way they're going to do it now, it's going to be done to diminish him, minimize him, maybe even emasculate him. It's going to be Wolverine is definitely going to be he's definitely going to take a major sidestep in this.
It's in the picture, right? He's barely visible. He's behind everybody. He's as small as possible, and up front,
way back
you
here,
have
bub.
Beast.
He's
who
fine.
we're about to come to, right?
Fine, because he's small like one dance.
Oh yeah, but I mean, but they're not featuring him in that
he's
picture.
a background character now.
But Beast is everyone's favorite creepy uncle. And is labeled by
you see what they're going to
DeMeo.
say about Beast, right? This
Remains literally
Beast is what they
and
want.
figuratively cuddliest member of the team, meaning he's a furry.
There we go.
He's the guy who always is going to say the right thing, even if he's quoting somebody else. He's always going to have a solution. It may not be the perfect solution, but he's going to try very, very hard to fix the scientific problem of the day. Trust the science here, kids. And then we get to the creme de la creme, Morph. So this answers why this character, as you brought up, looks so weird here. And I was confused, just as confused as this character. I think it was Price who was asking. He's actually referring to Jubilee. But I was like, he's like, is that a guy or a girl? And I'm like, yes, because in the death of Shapeshifter Morph in the original animated series, it didn't stick. Obviously, was shocking for young viewers. It stuck with them.
And they brought him back.
He really set the stakes, he says, and he had a very interesting relationship with the team because of trauma.
Yeah, he thought they left him for dead.
Emotional damage. Sorry.
He thought they left him for dead, and Mr. Sinister brought him back, and he worked for him, and he was all bitter and all that crap.
But not to worry, kids, because this is a lighter take on the character who is non-binary. And has an incredibly interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine.
I can't see it that way. Are you making that up? I can't see that.
No, it literally says that. This lighter take
boy
on the character who is non-binary and has an interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine.
I mean, they were friends, but
oh, it's a butt buddy relationship now. The character's past with Mr. Sinister, the show's villain, could also come into play. But who cares when it's dick on dick action happening here?
This thing where they take characters like Morph or Loki because they have like a shapeshift thing that they can do, and because they can do that, they say, "Oh, they must not be a man." Yes, they still are men. You know why? Because that's their default form. Every shapeshifter has their main form.
I want to see the
Loki
real
has
you.
to shift back to his main form, or Morph does, he's still a man. You could try to spin it all you want. You could tell the same lie 1,000 times, and it's not going to make it any more true. But Loki and Morph are still men. Stop with the shit.
Well, they have that great scene in
forming.
Which one of the X-Men movies is it? First Class or the second First Class one, where basically you have the meme where Mystique and Magneto, and he's like, "I want to see the real you." No, the real.
Yeah, that was First Class.
Yeah, was it First Class? Okay,
favorite X-Men movie.
Yeah.
And
that just goes to show exactly what you're saying. Her default form is that blue creature looking thing, right? So yeah.
And he says perfection. Yeah. Oh, it's a great meme, but it also is a good line because it shows you, like, even though Magneto has a warped ideology, he does mean the things that he says. And
and I love it because he backs it up with, he's like, just imagine if you were trying to hide yourself all the damn time and using your powers to their full potential.
He means what he says.
Yeah.
As messed up as it could be at times, he is genuine with what he says.
That's what I love about Magneto and X's relationship, is they are just so. And this is where I personally don't have such an issue if they want to race swap those two in a modern retelling, because they do have a very Martin Luther King, Malcolm X kind of thing going on about them, right? They both want the same thing, but they want to go about it a different way, right? Like, that's the thing. And one actually has the more heroic view of it, being Professor X, who wants to learn how to live together and not hold humans responsible exactly necessarily the same way that Magneto does, right? He just as soon destroy all humans. Right. That's the only way he sees peace.
I want to add to that, Tom, because there's been this weird myth that these characters were created because of, civil rights movement.
No, they just feed into that.
That's not true. They just happen to have a lot of coincidences. And Stan Lee mentioned, "Oh, hey, I can see where people got that. That was taken way out of context."
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Hold that thought,
he created those characters because he was bored.
Well, hold that thought. Well, we all know the original X-Men aren't even really close to what they became. But anyway, that being said, speaking of the civil rights movement, Bishop is in this. He's the time-traveling energy absorber. Bishop embodies the show's themes for DeMeo.
Of course he does, because he's black, right? He's the man out of time, wondering what his future is. This season is very much about what happens when the X-Men are faced with a future they didn't expect. Can and should they carry on Professor X's dream of peaceful coexistence with humanity following the professor's fatal injury and departure at the end of the original series? Only time and episodes will tell. So yeah, that being said, this came out earlier and it got a lot of notice and flack. And one of the people that dropped this news pretty early on was this website called X-Men News, I believe it. Here, let me find it here. Hang on. X-Men Updates. I'm sorry. X-Men Updates. Okay. Now, they got all upset because people were talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share this
someone
tweet
who lives in a far left wing echo chamber that
I'm sure
their
clearly
point of view, what they think, and the 5 people that they talk to in real life is somehow representative of the entire world.
Yeah, they said if morph being non-binary makes you angrily, clearly don't know what X-Men stands for.
Oh, shut up.
And I think
X-Men now.
I think my response to this was pretty spot on. I said putting a label on it actually excludes more people than it included when the X-Men stood for an allegory for insert your thing here. And that going off of what you just said, Nick, with it can seem like the civil rights movement. It could seem like the gay rights movement, but it's not that. It's the mutant rights movement. But you can insert your thing here and still relate to it. That's how they used to write shit.
That's how story relatability is a thing.
Yeah.
That is how you say, hey, I connect to that because of this. It may not be 100% the same, but there's a lot of parallels. That's the beauty of storytelling, is where something can have a different variation on something that happened to you.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then I also pointed out that and then the rest of it, I just say, besides non-binary didn't exist then, the closest thing to it was bisexual. Don't even get me started on the woke bullshit with the bait and switch with the OG voice cast, too. So the angry fans are the real fans, in my opinion. Only someone who's 12 or mentally 12 would say stupid shit like this. And okay, so getting on the voice actors, did you guys know that they brought back a bunch of the original voice actors only to shove them into the background and recast all the main cast to actors that were diversity people basically that matched their fucking mutant characters.
It's the nail in the coffin.
I have a friend of yours I like to meet. He's a good guy. You won't like his other friend, but his name is Bait. And he's bringing you in with the voice actors that you know. You won't like his other friend Switch, though. You might want to punch that guy in the mouth. You like Bait. He's a really nice guy.
Now, remember, guys.
We'll take him out for pizza, but Switch can stay home. We ain't ever talking to that guy again.
And I think you're right. I don't even know if Wolverine, I believe he is still the same voice actor, but he's like the only one, I think, that has been allowed to stay on as the same voice actor.
I don't know.
Because otherwise, I believe the other ones have passed away and or have been moved on to other characters. They're in the show. And that's what pisses me off, too, is because when we first heard about this, and they said that all the original living cast was coming back, we all assumed they were going to be playing the fucking characters they played in the first goddamn place. Because guess what? You can do a voice and be a different age. It doesn't fucking matter. You can't see. Like, I mean, Frank Walker has been doing Fred's voice on the Scooby-Doo.
50 years.
For over 50, actually probably closer to 60 years now, Cloppy.
Not the 50 range, a little over 50,
Yeah, over 50 years, right? And he hasn't barely changed. And I think, well, this is the truth, because I think Frank Welker eats baby souls. Like, the dude looks like he's fucking 40 and he still sounds like it. Like, how the fuck can this guy have been around for all this time, still look that good, sound that good? There's something up with that.
And that's where I cut the Wolverine actor.
This dude was on original Looney Tunes cartoons, guys.
Some guys' voice, they do change. Some people age. It's a natural thing. It's kind of like the musician.
It does,
who can't
but I mean,
rock out.
my point is, for the most part.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Finish.
For the most part, they don't. Now, day and age, we even have stuff that you can kind of manipulate their voice just a little bit if you needed to, pitch them up just a little higher, because that's usually what it is. When somebody gets older, their voice just gets a little lower and gruffer.
Yes, they do get a
and
little
the register
lower.
slower. you know. Sorry, but anyway, I had to go off on a fucking rant there because that bothers me as somebody who's always been an aspiring voice actor, right? And this is the most asinine fucking thing in the world to sit there and go, well, you're not this color, you're not this color, you're not that color, you're not a okay, so is Nancy Cartwright no longer going to be allowed to play Bart Simpson now since she's been doing it for the last 35 plus years?
Oh, but then they're gonna say, oh, but that's different. That's different.
She's
And that's
a
a
woman.
common.
It wasn't different enough for Apu.
Yeah, no, and
on
it
the
wasn't
same
different.
fucking show.
No, it wasn't. The whole gist is that they like to use the argument. That's different. The common
And I know you're playing
denominating
devil's
thing
advocate. I'm not
every
yelling at
time
you.
they say the word "that's different" is it benefits their social and or political viewpoints. That's a common theme, 100%, not 99, 100%. Anytime
And
the other word is that different, it means it just benefits their point of view.
And I have to actually tell you something, Mecca J. Do some research. Here's the thing. Frank actually has been around so long that, yes, he did work on some of the old Looney Tunes cartoons. He was the bull in the old Bugs Bunny, and he did a lot of other dogs and other animals. But the thing is there was a stipulation on the contract that Mel Blanc was the only one who got credit. So there was other voice actors who worked with them. But I think the only other time anybody ever got any credit was when it was what's later down the road when what's his face who did the lion and the other character I'm trying to think of his name. He's a famous voice actor. God dang it!
Which one?
Charles Fleischer?
No. That's way later.
Who are you talking about?
No, this is way early on.
What did he do?
He did like the lion. And I think he did the vulture, I think. Stan Freberg. Thank you. Red shirt.
Nice.
Stan Freberg was like the only other person. But then before that, yes, Elmer Fudd and Porky Pig were both done by different actors before Mel took over. Yeah. And actually, and I think another actor actually did Elmer Fudd for years. He just never got credit.
Yes. I do believe that is correct.
And it was all because of his contract. So yeah, it's a funny kind of thing, but like 90% of the animals, growls, snorts, shit like that you've heard in the last 70 years, that's Frank Welker.
He even did the voice of Baby Spock yelling out in Star Trek 3, the Search for Spock.
He is the guy they have come in anytime they're like, it's easier than getting an animal to come in because he can just do exactly what they want. He is a god when it comes to voices.
Yep.
I have a smoking gun, by the way, that really explains why this X-Men thing isn't gonna probably be what we think it is, or we already think.
What we wish it was, in other words.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I could share it. It's about 10 seconds, and I think it'll put all of everybody's. I don't know if to say put concerns to rest, but I think it'll pretty much prove what we're saying. If I have 10 seconds, Tom.
Oh, please do go ahead.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see this guy? I'm not looking. Okay. So I'll press play. He's telling about how he pitched to Kevin Feige.
He looks
came up with a pitched it to Kevin Feige, and him and Brad could not have been more just supportive and also just encouraging to make sure that we got it right. I think one of my favorite parts was like they were truly interested in like what my experience as a Black gay man was.
Oh, I remember this video.
Oh my god!
And that to them was like, that is how we're going to make this authentic.
It's Larry.
Because really, what
And
you're
Mark
talking
and
about,
Julia Leewald in the top
You got
right
it though.
corner.
You understand the main idea. I don't want to get any
I
strikes or
remember
anything like
Mark
that,
and
but you know what I
Julia
mean.
Leewald, though they were the creators behind the original show.
And that was
They
Larry
did-
Houston down there at the bottom too. Yeah.
And Larry Houston, thank you. I remember because they did a show with Ripa way back in the day. This is when the Kung flu was rampant and the government response to it happened. And when the government response happened, they locked people down. Ripa got to actually have an interview then because they're promoting a coffee book, which to show off the art from that book. And they were saying they would do a show under the right circumstances, but I guess you could say now in retrospect, those right circumstances look like it was, well, the capital for better and worse. Bummer.
I mean, I don't care what people do in their personal lives. I just think that if
I
you're
don't
going to do a pitch and you're supposedly honoring this thing, then why is that the most important thing to him and to Kevin Feige?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it reminds you. I think if I remember, it was Jen who said it. Jen Sasko. She said that they had pitched a thing for the Punisher to Kevin Feige and crew, and they wrote back to him saying no fan pitches allowed. We don't want people who are fans of this material. That should tell you everything.
It's very weird. They keep wanting these people that don't even like the material or aren't familiar with it, or just they want to change into something else. Why don't they ever like just people that like the property?
Because they want the people who are going to put the message that they want to push, but with the built-in property that has a pre-established fan base that brings in the butts and the seats, whether it's in the theater or in front of your screen at home. They want the best of both worlds and absolutely none of the consequences. They know, okay, this has fans. We can piggyback off that. And then we're going to push the message and have someone who's going to say yes to whatever we want them to push. And when those people take the job, the ones who are willing to push the message, most of the times they're the type of people who work for cheap because they're so adamant about pushing the message that they don't care if they don't make a lot of money because they look at, hey, look at me, I'm working for Marvel or Disney, so they feel like they have like a perception of legitimacy. It's a stepping stone to move on to other things.
But it almost feels like they're being crappy. And I just want to say one thing, and then I'll leave it alone.
You're right. No, you're right though.
I'll tell you, they're taking advantage of this guy. They're like, hey, do you want to do a pitch? And he goes, yeah, here's my pitch. And they're like, wait, we really want you to, your own identity, we want that in here. Meaning they want him because he's a certain way, and they want to implement it. It's not even like a fair interview.
He said it seemed like they were more worried about how gay I was. It's like, oh, maybe Kevin was looking for a dick sucking. I don't know.
Almost like they're being openly it's openly discriminate, but to them it's not because it's that soft bigotry of low expectations.
Well,
because they put this thought in their mind that if you are not a man and you are not white, then somehow you must have less of an advantage of being able to tell a story, which is not true because we've had a lot of great geeks and or nerds over the years who are Black or Asian or Latino and or women who have been.
It's funny you mentioned
whether they're good at writing, directing, acting. I mean, Wayne's World is directed by a lady. So the best Punisher movie is directed by a lady. Just saying.
It's funny you said that, Nick, because we're probably covering this more so on the Tomorrow Show, but Disney was hit with a federal civil lawsuit complaint over DEI alleges discrimination against white men, Christians, and Jews. So yeah, that's going to be probably topic tomorrow, especially fresh off of the Disney Files 3. But we're gonna get back into the X-Men business because that's basically the main topic at hand here still. So let's see what you guys are talking about in the chat. Many Dragon 5 has been a member for 8 months and says, so Morph can't be a guy. Him and Logan can't just be friends. And Storm is definitely going to be like the ladies, definitely going to like the ladies too. I'm going to pass on this one. Well, I don't blame you, Many Dragon. I definitely hear that. And thank you for being a member for the last 8 months. And speaking of being a member, holy crap. Angela Richter gifted 5 Midnight's Edge memberships. Hopefully we'll be having a membership stream this week. I've been bugging Andre about that, but that's definitely something. Or if not this week, I mean this next week coming up here. But, we got Daniel as well here who sends in 5 and says, if anything, they should have continued the Spider-Man animated series since it ended on a major cliffhanger. Oh, did it? I didn't even remember. So that was a little.
I remember that because Madam Web, how timely we're talking Madam Web.
Seen a few episodes.
She was supposed to help Peter meet the real Mary Jane because there's a really convoluted storyline, which they should have never done, where the Mary Jane he was with the entire time was not real. I don't like talking about it, but he was gonna help meet the real Mary Jane after he dealt with a bunch of clone BS, and then that was it. I remember being as a kid, I was pissed because I was like, oh, fine, we're gonna get a rectified ending, and then I heard word that the show had been canceled. I was like, what? I was so pissed as a kid. I was mad. That was like, man, that was 4th or 5th grade. That was Nick. I think I may have I got so mad. I may have tried to punch a hole in the wall because I was a little 4th grader, pre-puberty. I couldn't make a hole yet, but at least there was the attempt there to express my anger. I was so mad.
But yeah, Daniel, I understand.
Rage.
I understand
Go.
the sentiment, and I could definitely relate on several other shows that have ended on major cliffhangers for me. Like I said, I didn't really get into the Spider-Man animated series as much. I've seen episodes, but X-Men was there first, and that was one that was still on when I was still young enough to watch Saturday morning. And I remember a lot of adults watched the show too.
Yes.
That was another thing. That one crossed over. And the sad part of this whole thing I see here, and I understand why Disney's doing this, because X-Men is big. There's other Spider-Man stuff in the works too, but I agree with you. But they're more apt to try and push the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man now, just so there's synergy there. And I think that's my understanding with the Spider-Man cartoon that is coming up. It's like called Spider-Man first year or freshman year or whatever it is, freshman year. But anyway, on that note, though, the thing I have a problem with is all the crap we've been talking about. And the sad part is between this, and this might actually be a good place to bounce. We'll get back to the super chats here in a minute, but I want to get Klobby's reaction to this. See if I can get it up here. The phrasing. Because look, honestly, I think let's take out the woke factor, right?
Yeah.
If you were telling me that Disney is bringing back the X-Men animated series and they're going to try and base their X-Men off of that series, or basically the same type of, that era of the comics and that kind of look, feel, all that kind of business. Right. I think everybody would be on board with that. And that would be so bitchin' and cool. And we're almost half-assed getting that with Deadpool, and Wolverine, with Wolverine the way he looks in that. Right. And then you start to notice all the things underneath the surface. Right. And like Price, thank you so much for sharing that clip, because I didn't even hear that before. I was just looking at the fact that the guy was close to our age, so I'm like going, well, maybe he's not a complete wackadoo. But then when you hear him say, well, they heard that I was gay and they wanted to hear more about that, well, that goes, fuck, that's all we needed to know. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
But to quickly get to what I wanted to get Klobby's main reaction on this, and he'll know why, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is something that first glance, you're like, wait a minute, they might actually be doing something we want, because you got the old Cinerama Marvel Studios kind of logo there. So they're evoking the 50s, 60s look. You got a very 60s looking den. You've got a Life magazine from the 60s. You got the space race of the 60s. The costumes are great. Let's forget about the one casting for a moment. Let's just talk about it. I mean, for me, I thought they're pretty good considering. I mean,
I don't like the white trim. I like the black trim costumes, but yeah.
Fair enough. That's
that's an FF geek thing, though. Yeah.
That's a pedantic argument, and I'll totally concede on that for now. My point basically being is like looking at this, it's like,
nice
my God, it doesn't look like a fucking tactical uniform.
Yeah. For once, holy crud.
Reed shouldn't have a mustache, but again, that's
again. Ignore this for now.
I like the art; it was really cute, and
that's what I'm saying. Like at first glance, you feel like, wait a minute.
And that picture behind, it was actually supposed to be the actor playing Ben Grimm.
It is. So yeah, I was curious, just real quick, Klobby especially. I mean, and everybody else can chime in real quick too, but I definitely wanted to hear your take on this, obviously, Klobby, because we covered this yesterday.
On the casting or just the picture?
Both.
Okay. Well, it's actually a cute little, I asked them, no problem with it. Seeing Herbie there was kind of fun, and they really look like the family FF. Considering that, Reed, I don't know, doesn't have a mustache, but again, I don't.
But yeah, go ahead and dig into that.
I want to give him a beard. No. It's the casting. Pedro, look, I'm not the biggest Pedro fan or hater either. I think he can be a good actor with right script. Would he be my first top in my top 10 of choices? No, but to be honest with you, I can't name you a lot of people that would be. Feel so strongly about should play it. Like sometimes you might go, that casting's okay, but man, these really should have got, A, B, or C. So I don't have anybody, a big candidate for me personally. So, not the biggest fan. A lot of people are very angry about the casting. I expected the casting of all four of them to be so much more horrible than this. I mean, I expected pure horror, idiocy to the point where I'm like, I couldn't even take it seriously because you got to understand something. Any Fantastic Four movie not under my complete control is really not a Fantastic Four movie. Let's just be honest. If I'm not in charge of a Fantastic Four movie, it's not really a Fantastic Four movie. However,
Fair enough.
Since we all know that's not going to happen, at least in this universe, so there might be another universe out there. You never know. And I might move to it and handle it. This looks fairly okay because I expected. Well, I can't really. Probably shouldn't put into words what I expected. Okay,
Fair
but
enough.
for them to all look like this, I did not expect. The gentleman playing Ben Grimm. Kind of a tall, lanky dude. He's a good actor. I've seen him. I don't ever saw him in that first season of Punisher. It's the only thing I've ever seen him in.
Oh, so he was micro.
He was micro, but again, he's a good actor. I mean, he doesn't really look like the before Ben, the human Ben that should really, be like a big, tall, muscle bound, like athletic dude before he turns into the pile of rocks.
He always bulk up.
He is a Jewish gentleman, which Ben Grimm should be.
Yes, he
should. Which is good. Sue, the young lady Vanessa has a very appropriate last name, Kirby.
Yeah. She'll actually be the first Kirby to actually make money off the Fantastic Four.
Oh, that was good.
Well, really. The first,
I know. Sorry, that was sad but funny.
The first one not to get screwed over yet. So,
that too, yeah.
So, but seriously, she's I don't know much about her. She seems like she may be good for the part, but that wasn't really good, by the way. Tom, you should be. That was good. The kid playing Human Torch again. I was expecting I don't want to get into trouble.
Swap.
I was expecting this to be there we go. I'm going to backtrack here. I was expecting to be the most diversity, DEI-ing, diversity assing, diversity.
Well, he could still be flaming. We don't know yet.
Cast, the whole cast. No, I mean the whole cast. I expected it to be the most diverse.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
And they look like right here, and they look like they can look like the normal Fantastic Four. That said, when I won't make a complete cast judgment until I see what they do to Dr. Doom. Oh my God! Right now, I will say they have exceeded my unbelievably low expectations with a not so bad casting. In other words, the movie could be okay. Now, our old pal Robert Meyer Burnett has surmised from this picture that it's going to be a period piece, and he acted like it's confirmed. I don't know where he's getting that.
Yeah, I've heard a few different things. I mean, what he's looking at is this Life magazine.
The Life magazine from 1964.
64, yeah. And then, but I also heard it's supposed to be taking place during the space race and most likely during the moon landing.
I hope
68, 69 in that era.
It should be earlier than that, but I'll take it.
Should be a period piece.
I'll take it though, but it should be a period piece. I'm just saying, from that just might be some silly Valentine's Day picture just for the fun of it. Unless he has some confirmation, he is a very well informed feller. So if it is a period piece, good on them. And that's all we know.
I just was
right
told
now.
by somebody was closer to the moon landing thing,
which is still not bad. I mean, it's a little late, but not compared to.
Which again makes you go because a lot of us have been saying if you just take the Fantastic Four and put it back in the 60s, that'd be.
Well, I got to be honest. As there's no one I know on the planet that loves them more than I do, but I will even admit that the Fantastic Four's origin does not work in the modern day. Those stupid Sony movies proved that it didn't work in 2005 and either. It needs to be in the 60s with the race to space, all that stuff, because them being on a space satellite with Dr. Doom, that's sucky. It needs to be more fanciful where they're stealing the spaceship and flying into space and getting bombarded with the cosmic rays. It just doesn't work when you have to alter it to fit the time. It is a product of the early 60s. Their origin is, it is even more so than Spidey's. Because you could alter it a little bit. And they have. and they had to.
Oh yes, they absolutely have.
But
With
FF
with the spider, it was genetically altered versus radioactive.
Which is fine. I get even but this it only really works like this, the old way in 60 years ago, 60 something years. So yeah, I'm gonna say that I guess I'm a little shocked that the casting is this. Well, because a lot of people are still complaining about Pedro. Look, I don't know. He might be able to pull it off. I mean, I don't really hate the guy or anything. I think he's an idiot in real life, but I mean, I don't have not a fan of him as an actor, nor am I a detractor as an if he can get into the role and play it fine. That's great. It's really not an FF movie anyway, unless I put my
Klobby. I look at him, I don't see intelligence.
I don't either, but he's an actor. So there's some
I don't
actors.
even think he can pretend to be one.
But I've seen actors play geniuses that were total morons in real life.
Right. Like that's the thing with Pedro. Like I can't stand him in real life. Like I hate his politics. I hate the way he talks to the fans.
Yeah.
But I'll be damned if he isn't one of the better actors. I'll even go as far as to say he's a really good actor. Because my testament is almost everything I've seen him in, I enjoy him in. Even Wonder Woman 84, he was the only good part in. I stopped watching Narcos as soon as he left.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So he can do it. I mean, look, I've seen countless times where people have played genius characters and that are total idiots in real life. Benedict Cumberbatch played Sherlock Holmes, for Christ's sake, and he's an absolute gibbering imbecile in real life. So, it happens. So it's just acting.
And you're right. I have a hard time trying to think of somebody who could carry this role. Like, I mean, a lot of people are like, 10, 15 years ago, George Clooney kind of thing. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, God. Now, him I don't like. I don't think he can act.
I'm not so keen on that either.
Richards. He at least looks like he's smarter than Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
But even then, that's still not saying much because
I'll tell you, young Griffith, who might have been I actually thought he was pretty decent in those two.
He was well casted.
Lackluster Sony movies. Yeah,
they're Fox, but yeah.
Fox, sorry, Sony. Well, that's
all right.
Sony. You're right.
Because Sony was where Spider-Man was, but that's all right.
I got you. It was my bad. The Fox movies, I always say Sony for those for some reason, but he
that's all good.
Was pretty good. I mean, again, casting in
the type. Yeah, he was mostly the type, but yeah, now, that's the thing. I'm hard.
He was an egghead. I don't see Pablo as an egghead like that, but
I like the cast of the Fox movies. I know it's not a popular opinion. I like those guys. Jessica Alba looked good, and that's what I want to see when I like to see a good-looking woman when I go see a movie.
All that. Yeah, they were fine, and of course everybody wanted the commish as the.
Chris Evans was great. The commish
he was. He was.
Everybody wanted him.
Michael Chiklis was fine. I liked him as the thing.
But he has not been Grimm though. He doesn't look like Ben Grimm.
I don't think he's Jewish either, is he?
No, I don't know about. Well, that's but what I'm saying is because very few people even knew Ben Grimm was Jewish, so they started making a big deal.
True, but still, I mean,
the point is, Chiklis doesn't look like Ben Grimm's supposed to look before the. I mean, he's a great actor and he did a good job. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't. Ben is supposed to look like the big man on canvas, the big football player.
They wanted him because he looked like this thing in real life. That's why.
Yeah, which was stupid. Which was stupid, but they could have just got somebody to do the voice after he changes.
Well, you have him do the voice afterwards. That was fine. Yeah,
that would have been cool.
But
no one knew that because they didn't really, these guys. You go watch that movie, that was not written by anyone who knew anything about the Fantastic Four, obviously, because that whole stupid first movie. One of the things I hate about it because it was okay in some ways. That's some interesting stuff. The whole time they're treating their powers like an affliction. I'm like, well, you're not the Fantastic Four. I mean, Ben's got a problem that he wants to cure Ben, but Reed wanted to cure them all, and Johnny's the only one that liked his powers. I'm like, that sucks. And again, another thing, Sue was a scientist all of a sudden because modernity. So
that was pre-modernity before I went full pedal to the metal with it.
But that was she was a scientist, which she shouldn't have been.
No, she's not.
She will be in this one too, I'm sure.
She's supposed to be their mental rock, and she's an asset for her powers when there's certain things that he can't do.
She's going to be smarter than Reed. And all of them. Just watch. They'll do all those stupid things we don't like in different ways, even if it is set in the right time, even if the cast is decent. And Doctor Doom, they won't get anything past for me until I'm impressed by their Doctor Doom casting. And boy, that's going to be probably.
That's what I'm curious about.
Alfred Woodard's probably going to play him.
It'll be Victoria Von Doom.
It'll be big. It'll yeah.
If they're in 1964, they'll be involved in the civil rights movement or something annoying.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something annoying that's cooking, and we haven't seen it yet.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's where lucky Idris Elba's already been in the MCU, huh?
Yep. Oh, well,
they'll bring in that Esposito guy or whatever from
the guy playing the Thing's been in it too, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but they don't technically count.
Chris Evans had been in it.
Yeah, but they don't count. Yeah, that's just I'm talking about the proper MCU or whatever. But.
No, yeah, but yeah, they don't really care about that kind of stuff anymore. I mean, they'll probably get Lizzo to play or whatever. Play Dr. Doom.
Well, I heard she was busy body doubling for Godzilla.
The Doom casting in the Fox movies was pretty crappy, but it's probably going to end up being better than this. But you know, look, they surprised me with these. I mean, they're okay at least. They're not, not horrifically bad. And some disagree. Some don't like the casting, but I didn't think it was that bad.
All
go ahead, folks.
I think that
but Bryce, and then I'll go after you.
I think
Tom had to do something, so I'm paying attention to private chat.
Go for it.
So
you need more time.
No. My I'm not so excited about these guys. I think that the guy that the Thing and maybe Human Torch, whatever, those are fine. Maybe Pedro Pascal is too overexposed. I just think he's overrated as an actor. Forget about the fact that there's other underlying reasons why they want him there, but I'm saying I just think that I've seen him in too much stuff, and he's not as good as people think he is. Meaning, he's an okay actor. I can see him here and there in something, but they made him kind of that guy. He's that dude. Every time they have something, you have to see this guy. It's like he's not that good. You know what I mean? Like, forget about all the politics. I'm just saying he's just a pretty good actor. I don't think he's the best actor, and I don't think he's right for this. And Vanessa Kirby, I liked her in Mission Impossible. I don't hate her, but you know what? It also doesn't do it for me. I want a woman that's more impressive than Vanessa Kirby.
I'm with you. I'm just surprised that they cast a blonde woman at all.
Yeah, that was the consolation prize. They're like, oh, you want like a Jessica Alba level woman? Well,
that's because you can't cast a black woman as the Invisible Woman.
Yes, you can. Oh, well.
Yeah, you do that. That's okay. Yeah, that you're digging yourself in the hole you'll never get out of.
That's like casting Lizzo as the Blob.
I always wish that would happen. Go ahead.
I almost want to see her demand the role because she wants Blob representation in movies.
No, and I'm not saying I'm not saying that Vanessa Kirby doesn't look fine. I mean, she's fine. It's just somehow it doesn't work for me. I don't know. The guys on the right here, this right thing, Pedro and her, doesn't work for me personally. But
I don't know.
And I feel like they're going to stick all their weird messages, but I'll give it a chance when it comes out. It's just that I feel like I'm being tricked again.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny ends
we
up
all
being
are.
closet flaming, right? Like it's 60, so it'll be they'll make a big deal out of it too, right?
This is just casting.
Right.
This is just casting that I'm slightly surprised that they even got anywhere close. The rest of the movie is going to be, crap. I mean, I have no faith in these people. They don't deserve any faith. We just went through this with the X-Men cartoon. They can make that look sort of like the X-Men cartoon, and then look what they're doing. So if they're going to do that with the X-Men cartoon, it looks sort of like it. Everyone's going, wow, they captured some of the feel and look of the cartoon, but we just got through talking about all the horrible crap they're doing to that. So that's going to be the same deal here.
Yeah, you're hitting on the nail right on the head what I was getting at, Klobby, because I think this is all just a Band-Aid of sorts, right?
Yeah.
It's really something to kind of just cover up what's really underneath. And I think that's a good analogy for it because, we don't see that underneath, but we do. You and I and the people on the panel and the people in the chat, because we watch this stuff. We see this stuff every day, but the normies are not going to see this stuff. They're not going to pay attention to this stuff. They're going to see this as the, distraction that it is, right?
Yep.
They're just going along with the idea of, okay, we're making it look like you want it to look, but that doesn't mean it's going to be what you want it to be.
See, Tom, that's what separates the normies from the geeks and the nerds, is because we have that point of reference. We have our go-to. We have the standard by which this thing is going to be matched up against, whereas they don't. They're just going to see it as Pedro Pascal taking his next role. They're going to see it as Vanessa Kirby taking her next role. They're going to see it as that. And then also not just as that, but also as a Marvel movie, not a Fantastic Four movie. If you're going to make a Fantastic Four movie, not only do you need to make the characters look like each other, but you also got to make it a Fantastic Four movie. If you want to give very subtle nods, like maybe like a newspaper showing off like our characters exist, sure, great. But this movie needs to be prioritized about these 4 characters. We don't need outside factors that play into the story. If you want to acknowledge a post-credit scene, fine. But for the actual movie, it needs to be about these characters. Like I say, you have subtle nods, stuff in passing, but this needs to be about them, not a movie where this character just happens to tie in and everything's got to tie around that. No, this needs to be a F4 movie first before it's a Marvel movie first. That should be a secondary thing. And also, you could do other villains besides Doctor Doom. And I say it as a huge fan of Doctor Doom. You could do the Mole Man. You could do also
the rumor is Javier Bardem is going to be playing Galactus.
You have a lot of great villains you could do. There's of course, Galactus, another obvious one. All I'm just saying is I listed 3 of villains. You could get a good movie series out of this. If you really were like, you know what, we need to commit to the F4. They should be the center of this all. This is the first family, the first big superhero team. We need this to be the core of it all. They could, because a lot of the cosmic elements are because of the Fantastic Four, the Thanoses, the Galactuses, the Silver Surfers, some of the Guardians characters. A lot of these characters made their debut in a Fantastic Four comic book. The F4 will never get the proper credit for how valuable it was, not just for their story, but for lots of other Marvel characters' story. Fuck.
They recognize what we want. We see that we're seeing that with X-Men 97 and with this picture. They know what we want. They just don't actually want to give us that.
Right.
So it's like this long, painful, slow death, right? It's like they're not happy with the way things are going, and they're still underestimating word of mouth because, yeah, you can say the regular general populace won't see it right away, but they'll hear about it because one of their friends or their family members will talk about it. It's word of mouth is stronger than it's ever been. We'll talk about, we have plenty of time to pass the word down. This is not actually what it seems. And these shows will still fail. And once again, they're going to fall on their faces with these failed shows as they have to learn that lesson once again, that you can't just bait and switch. You can't just make it look like it's gonna actually turn the corner and give us what we want, and then not do it. You can't really just be subtle. You could try and be more subtle about it until hopefully we take the medicine, but it's not actually going to work, and they're just going to keep slowly moving in this direction and failing and failing and failing.
They always learn the wrong lessons. I agree with you. They always learn the wrong lessons. Instead of thinking, okay, we're doing stuff that the people don't like, let's try to find out what actual fans or what people enjoy seeing. And then they're like, no, let's just get better at bait and switch. We'll be more clever with the bait and switch. That's not the lesson you're supposed to learn. You're not supposed to be more clever with the bait and switch.
They have the mindset of a villain. We have talked about this many times on the show. These people relate to the mindset of a villain more than they do a hero, because only a villain thinks, how can we make this more subtle, or how can we find a way of still doing what we want to do but making it less obvious, or how can we tease them but still bring them in so then we put it in front of their face once they actually see it. That's a fucking mindset of a villain. They're villains. These writers are villains. That's who they're connected to. And they're probably going to find a way to do that with whoever is the villain, whether it's Dr. Doom or the Puppet Master, Annihilus, whatever. They're going to find
the
a way
relatable, not so bad guy.
Yeah. Misunderstood. There's a time and place for those characters. That's fine. They have their place in the world. But when you make every character that is fucking retarded, fuck off Disney with this shit. I don't say those words ever, but now I am. Fuck off Disney. I'm tired of this shit. Ugh.
Indeed.
I want this shit to go. I want this shit to go away. And the thing is, I've made peace with the fact that they got a fake like Pedro Pascal, because in a more emotional world, I would have lost my shit about this. I would have lost my shit about, but I'm just, you know what? Fine, Pedro. Go ahead and play someone who you will never be a hero. You will never be a hero. You are a fake. You may be decent acting. You're never a leading man. You don't look intelligent. You also are the guy who you're the first man who is a leading man who will bend over for Hollywood when they need you to be a soy boy. So pucker up, bitch. Have fun with your role.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot more to that. And let's get back to the X-Men talk, though, because the audience had a few things to say about that. Gerald Campus sent in $10. Thank you so much. It says, no matter how dark it is, already started with the racial slurs. Yeah, they did. They did. Don Johnson's here. Black Don Johnson.
Don Johnson.
In blackface, I should say. For $4.99. What are the odds they keep Nightcrawler as the biblical literate Christian he was in the original show without making him into a joke? Love y'all. None.
Very
I guarantee you.
If he shows up at all.
They're going to, well, the rumor has it that they're hiding him from us because he is supposed to play some pivotal role in the series, I guess.
Because it was really annoying in the old show. He and Colossus were barely there. Another thing I hated was the roster of this show. And it should have been them instead of Gambit and Jubilee. Nightcrawler and Colossus were sorely lacking on this show. Not much at all on there. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Nightcrawler is one of my favorite characters too. But yeah, since they changed him in the comics, I would imagine they would probably convert him to more so of what he's like in the modern comics. I'm sure Nick and can attest to. Truth, Hope, Love sends in 5 and says, just want to say, man, the animation compared to the old trailer looks pretty subpar. Looking like the next Masters of the Universe Revelations. Yeah, it kind of has a vibe like that.
This is the Fantastic Four right here. Obviously, this is an Alex
Ross cover
version of the original cover, but this is the Fantastic Four. All right.
Yes, sir.
That is an actual Reed Richards. That's Ben Grimm. So look at that. And yes, it's Sue Storm being stuck in the monster's grasp, but you know what? That's fine. She was there to be a mental rock for them, and her power be an asset at the spots where you least expected. That's what made her valuable. They'll never understand this shit. Ever.
Indeed, sir.
Yeah, I'm seriously, I'm gonna get drunk tonight ranting about this shit. That takes a lot for me, but here I am doing that tonight. You can now let me off the camera. I need to add that extra bit of steam in.
No problem. Truth, Hope, Love says, we got that one already. But yeah, as far as the Masters, I can smell the bait and switch. The trailer looks great, but then the show is going to suck. How many times are they going to kill Wolverine off? Jesus Davila gifted a membership. Thank you, Jesus. We appreciate that.
Hey.
Truth, Hope, Love sends in another 5 and says, I heard Allison Cork actually didn't want to reply as Jubilee because of the character's Asian heritage. Did she say that or did they say that? See,
I heard it was the actress, but that doesn't mean it's true. Someone said it was the actress, but people say things, so I don't know.
I don't know. The fact that everybody was fucking replaced makes me feel like she just had to go along with the fucking
that's what I'm thinking.
Program.
Yeah, just check the boxes so that you get the job. And
if they offered, they probably did an offer to her, but never know. You never know. She might have. And unless she virtue signaled that, no, it isn't true. I don't know.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then then recast Bart. Give us a man for Bart. Give us a man. Even if the show sucks nowadays and has for a while, give us a man for Bart. If that's the role, if that's the game you want to play, give us a late teenage boy, early 21 at best, who's gonna play Bart.
I never even knew she was Asian until they were talking about that because she just doesn't look that way to me on the animated
she doesn't.
Yeah, well, John F. Trent did a great write-up of this over on that Park Place. And he gets to the casting part here, where a number of original casts are now playing newer characters. Catherine Disher, who originally voiced Jean Grey, is now Dr. Valerie Cooper. Chris Potter, who previously played Gambit, is now Cable. Lawrence Bane, who played Cable, is now Executioner. I can't talk. Ron Rubin, who originally played Morph, is now President Robert Edward Kelly. And original Jubilee actress Allison Court is now playing Abscissa, or whatever how you say that.
So they've been just switching things around, but then she's still there. Yeah.
According to Romano, DeMeo confirmed that the recastings were done for authentic representation. Romano wrote, there are many reasons behind the recastings. DeMeo explains the range from the authentic representation. Court recognizes that voicing an Asian character like Jubilee as a Canadian actress in the 90s was a product of his time to vocal intonations. Like, again, the way it's worded here is it like, did she say that, or was it just presented to her that way and she just had to fucking accept it?
She probably had to accept it. I don't think
exactly. And how are you going to argue out of that? Right?
She's towing the company in line. Yeah, she came out saying, "I
right." She's still getting paid. She has to say what they tell her. It's in her contract.
Pay the rent, put food on the table. Not go homeless. I have some appreciation for that at a point.
And going off of that, they say that Zan's casting made it clear that the show will embrace LGBTQ lifestyle, that will do it through her character of Rogue and her powers, and not let her physically touch another person. So there you go. Yeah.
It's like you have to be a superstar to be able to speak out, I'm glad that Gina has done it. But I mean, most people, if you speak out, then you don't get employed anymore. You have to look for a new line of work,
Yeah. Then Kwaman Taylor sends in $4.99, says, sounds very anti-woke, ironic, complaining about diversity in an X-Men discussion. I don't remember us complaining about diversity other than...
No one complained about diversity.
Yeah, the fact that...
We use the joke, the word in a joking sense when it comes out to the faux diversity that people like, those...
The virtue signaling,
Yeah, virtue signals, but no. See, the X-Men, you talked about the allegory. It was not... It was like you said, it was an allegory, but it was an interchangeable one for basically judging people out of fear and prejudice just because they're different. That's what it really was all about at its core. In this case, at the height of uncertainty about atomic power and its effects and things like that, where it turned people, into mutants, and people hated them just because they were afraid of people more powerful that were different. And that's what they were talking about. And it didn't need to go anywhere but that. And you could use that analogy for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now people just abuse it.
Six is disappointed. I don't know if she's disappointed with the show or she's disappointed with the show, our show or their show. But she's still disappointed with the super sticker. It's a disappointed face. That's all I know.
Sorry, Six.
I don't know who
is
disappointed her.
Something we said?
I hope Tom didn't let you down too bad.
Probably. Joe Pat 87 sends in $4.99, says, may I address Iger for a second? Google Possum Creek, an Angel Studio production. Shuri actress is an episode of makes Iger's into Black Panther more ironic, almost karmic. I meant acquisition, not productions. Okay, his acquisition. Okay, so may I address for a second that Google Possum Creek, an Angel Studios production. Shuri's actress is the Angel Studios Possum Creek. Okay. Makes Iger leading into Black Panther more ironic, almost karmic. I guess I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at, Joe Pat. You may have to explain a little better in just a regular chat. You don't have to send another super chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're getting at.
His acquisition.
Yeah, I'm totally lost. Yeah. Tommy Review sends in 5 and says, don't forget Frank is Megatron. That's true. I'm also skeptic with X-Men 97. I wish Disney would release an animated series on Blu-ray, but one can dream. Yeah, I was asking around earlier if the original series was even in HD on Disney Plus.
Oh, I don't know about that, but it's on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I know it's on Disney Plus, but I don't know if it's in just standard def or HD. But yeah.
Hey, Polly.
And he meant to say possum trot. That still doesn't help. I don't know what a possum trot is. I'm drawing a blank here, bud. Let me see here. Something about Angel Studios.
I did. Yeah.
I'm totally lost. Yeah. Okay, Possum Trot. Okay, foster care crisis from a week ago. Okay. It's a movie slated for inspiring true story of East Texas church committed to becoming a solution to the foster care crisis. Okay. I'm still not sure I draw the comparison to Bob Iger here. I guess I'm not seeing the connective tissue other than, yeah, he said something about Black Panther, but they're doing this documentary. Look who the executive producer is. Okay. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find.
BODO. Strange.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I wasn't aware of the movie either, so.
This is the problem when people ask us to do this stuff during a show. It really is not good for the show, but we appreciate it. Yeah. I'm like looking through shit trying to find a producer. Okay, I got produced by Ryan Dennett Smith, Tiffany. Nothing is Letitia Wright. That's the only name that sticks out. Okay, from Black Panther. Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, she was the one they were trying to blacklist over certain things. That's true. Okay, so all right. So are you trying to say that she made a documentary on the stuff and did a real life thing as opposed to Bob's bragging about making a movie about a superhero? I'm thinking that's what you're trying to draw a comparison with, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, that's the first time hearing about this documentary, it looks like. So yeah. So you have to excuse me on that one.
Bob Iger loves Black Panther.
Yeah, he possibly loves black people too. Maybe.
I mean, I would hope that he does, but I don't know why he's so obsessed with the movie Black Panther. Anytime
made a lot
he
of money.
can somehow slip in that he was around when they made Black Panther, he always tries to slip it in somehow.
Because it made a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah, so did Avengers Endgame, but somehow he always goes back to that one.
Yep. He's proud.
Oh, well. Interesting. Then we got Tommy reviews. We got this one already. Okay, we got just another red shirt who's been a member for 2 months. Says Jeremy Brett is the only Sherlock Holmes. I'll have to take your word on that. I'm not like that into Sherlock.
I think he's the best. I mean, yeah, but
you think he is? I'll take Clobby and yours word for it then.
He's going after me because I mentioned Cumberbatch. Well, he did play him, but yeah, I mean, Jeremy Brett's way better. But I grew up loving Basil Rathbone in the role too. So I don't know if I don't know about the only, but I mean, if you say he's the best, I'm with you.
There you go, Mr. Tickle Trunk's in the house, and he's been a member for 31 months. Thank you, Mr. TT. We appreciate it. And he sends in a Canadian $5, eh? Says, not one effing mutant is cast as a voice actor. This is true. And for a fact that Ricky Berwick is free to voice a character. This is also true. And I'm all for this, and I get behind this. Because I heard if you stand in front of Ricky, he'll run into you with his fucking wheelie chair thingy that he's got.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 sent us that was last night. Okay, so 6. The one she sent us tonight was actually a peach. I apologize. Because I was looking at the one from last night. That is my bad. She sent us a peach tonight. I apologize. She was not disappointed with us, and she's probably wondering, like, what the fuck are we talking about? So I apologize again, 6, but thank you for the peach.
Love you, 6.
Appreciate it. All right. With that, speaking of 6, she sent me this story, and I got kind of a little laugh out of it because I never expected Ridley Scott to be a Bee Gees fan, but evidently he's going to direct Paramount's Bee Gees movie from GK Films. With its movie Bob Marley One Love now in theaters, and actually I believe it took the top spot from Madam Web yesterday. The Paramount is moving fast forward on another high-profile biopic on the popular music group that and looks to like it's found its A-list director in Ridley Scott. They're going to be making a biopic about the Bee Gees, and it will be also produced by Amblin, who you recognize as Steven Spielberg's company. And I believe, which is funny because I think Frank Marshall, our buddy, is like the hugest Bee Gees fan. He loves music, and he's like big good friends with like what's his face who just passed away this last year here, Jimmy Buffett. And I guess he's like a huge Bee Gees fan. So yeah, I remember hearing that this was coming. But yeah, I never figured that Ridley Scott would exactly be a Bee Gees fan.
I mean, if he's got another side to him that likes movies and he's really invested and we just didn't happen to know it, hey, great for him. He's obviously clearly not capable of making a halfway mediocre alien movie. So maybe, he should play his strengths, what strengths there are left, into something a little different. And maybe this could be the thing that could, make him definitely more respectable again. I'm not really a Bee Gees fan, but assuming that we're taking him at his word that he's telling the truth, I do hope the best for him, and hopefully this movie has a passion pouring out, and I hope Bee Gees fans are pleased with it. So
everybody says they're not a Bee Gees fan, but they still dance to "Staying Alive" like it's the best song ever.
I've heard the song, but I've never danced to it ever.
I mean,
It's not a bad song.
You may have.
It's not a bad song. Oh, I've gotten shit house drunk to a point where I freaking hit my head against a TV. I've never done that. And yes, I have hit my head against a TV, but I've not done that.
I think Bee Gees are a band that I don't sit at home and put on the Bee Gees for my own pleasure. But at the same time, if somebody puts something on and I look at what they do, they're not bad musicians. It's sort of their time, and it's a bit cheesy and not necessarily my cup of tea completely, but I don't hate it. I mean, I can recognize good musicianship. It's just sometimes something seems well produced and well made, and yet still it may not be what I listen to all the time.
Hey, I hear that, Price. I mean, there's 14, 15, 16 million people who still have Metallica's Black Album, and I still forgive them for all not being perfect, so I get it.
I mean, the Black Album, Metallica, is better than all the albums they made after the Black Album.
That's not saying much.
It's a Bob Rock thing.
Listen,
that's not
things always go downhill after Bob Rock gets
that's
involved.
not saying much.
Master of Puppets and Justice for All are better than the Black Album, but I don't hate the Black Album. Anything once it starts load and reload, you lost me. You know what I mean?
I hate the Black Album with a passion because it's what started their bullshit.
I like Turtles.
I like Turtles too. I really like Turtles. Now, to me, the best thing was Kill 'Em All. But all I'm trying to do is just make a point there. That's all. That's all.
You like Kill 'Em All better than Master of Puppets and Justice for All?
100%. And I say that as a fan of Master and Justice. I think they're both great. I truly think they're both great. And I honestly, I'll never understand the flack for Injustice, but Kill 'Em All is so much better.
I haven't listened to them in a while. I like Kill 'Em All. It wouldn't have been my first, my first place.
Well, I'd say again, I love Puppets. No disrespect to Injustice, which that one drives me crazy because I love Injustice.
They forgot to include the bass in the mix.
People who I know there's good arguments about the bass, but the riffs hit so hard that it makes up for it. But Kill 'Em All though, ooh, James' voice is the most fierce it's ever been, and it ain't even close. Fierce. And then Ride the Lightning has Fight Fire with Fire, which is fucking Riffosaurus.
I mean,
Rex.
doesn't the song One give him some points for Injustice for All? It's such a good song.
It's a good song, but it's nowhere near. For me, when I think of the album, I think of Blackened. Blackened is just that stuff like Eye of the Beholder. Those songs are way better. But like I said, One's fine as far as power ballads go. I just feel like traditional heavy metal bands do the ballads way better. So, but dude, come on. When you hear Metal Militia, and I see someone, how tight someone mentioned the chat Metal Militia. There you go. That's my guy right there. He's has priority. See that the riffs on that stuff. Four Horsemen, dude, yeah, you want to like seriously. There are times I've passed out places not knowing where I was, but I figure out where I was because of Kill 'Em All. Just saying. You can Z about it all you want, but it's so much more entertaining than anything Ridley Scott or the Bee Gees is doing
But
nowadays.
if they did a movie about Metallica, they'd have to show them selling out as part of their biopic. Half the movie would be them selling out.
And then they'd have to do that dumb therapy thing with Dave Mustaine. That won't happen again. Oh my god. Oh, that was just saying that was cringe. The therapy.
Well,
Oh.
too bad Brian wasn't here. Six was on the panel. That maybe somebody who was actually a fan of the Bee Gees would have something to say. I like Bee Gees.
I
right?
don't hate them. I don't hate them. It's just
I
that
don't love them or anything.
Right. I don't love them. I think they're good musicians.
I'm curious how many cuts this will get.
It's going to be like the Queen movie. That's why they're doing this. They have a catalog that a lot of people know. With the Queen movie, that wasn't such a great movie, but you sat in the theater. They played all these hits that everybody knows. People are there hearing the songs full volume. It became an event that people are almost enjoying the music more than the movie. And I think with the Bee Gees, they're counting on the same thing. Some people will sit there, every song, even if you don't like it, you know it. You know, everything. I can play every song of theirs now, and you'll be like, oh, I know that song. Even if you never, out of your own free will, you'll never listen to it, you know it.
I have not, I don't know Elton John's catalog well, but I did think Rocket Man was a pretty good movie. Now, I'm not very vastly, deeply knowledgeable on his catalog, but I thought it was an enjoyable movie. I do have some buddies, though, who love Queen, like love Queen. And that movie drives them crazy. And I think that's the problem when you have the guys who know Queen. They're gonna see it so much differently because that movie is just meant to appeal to surface level people, not people who are very well invested, who have the deeper context of things. It's meant for better and worse to do that.
Most biopics are never going to be they're not going to be authentic because there's a record label that doesn't want to hurt their catalog. There's families and estates usually of people that aren't alive anymore, and they don't want to hurt their piece of the pie. So everything you get is put through a bunch of sanitized things. Probably in reality, the craziest shit that you can ever imagine happened with these bands, but you're going to see them talk about their feelings and give each other rose petals and stuff,
No, you're right. If you want to watch something that's good on Queen, just go watch Razor Fist's Music Mythos on Queen. It's so much better.
I believe you.
He could have still touched up on things I wish was touched up on, but he definitely does it. He definitely touches on Queen better than the movie did.
Documentaries.
I think you make a good point about that too. It's like I'll give you two examples. Right, you got Anvil, the story of Anvil. I love that movie. They're not so big that you have to worry about all that crap. It's just a hilarious, and they're involved in it, and they're being themselves, and it's like their journey to try and find relevance again. And hey, to their credit, the movie actually got them back on track. So I recommend that one, Anvil, the story of Anvil. You just do something fictitious, like Almost Famous is one of my favorite movies.
Or documentary movies. Usually if it's a documentary, like a YouTube documentary that nobody asked the family, they just did whatever they wanted, you have more of a chance of learning what really happened there. Because the biopic...
Yeah.
And one final thing, and I'll leave it alone. In biopics also, they often have to take the career 30 years of a band, and they want to shove it into 2 hours. So a lot of times you have in one scene 7 things happening at once. If you saw the Queen movie, they're in the studio. One guy is coming up with another one bites the dust. Brian May and Freddie Mercury are fighting about the leadership of the band, and then their accountant is there doing their bills next to the drum set for some reason, and they say, you know what, you're not just going to be our accountant, you're going to be our manager. This did not all happen at once. You can't invent that song, fight about the leadership of the band, and tell your accountant that he's the manager in the same 5 minutes. It just doesn't work that way.
Just make a trilogy. At least a trilogy, you could at least get more of that stuff.
Maybe a series, like a 10-episode series.
Fuck Christ. Now, see, you're on to something there. I'd watch a series. I get invested, and I feel like there's enough interesting history enough where you could pull off a series to maintain that interest because they got that career that is worth reading into, learning about, knowing, discovering. Like, oh, that's really fascinating. If you actually explain to the Queen story to people, it holds interest. If they did it into a series, I truly believe that's one of the things that would actually benefit from more coverage rather than less of the whole when will this end. This would be the, oh crud, tell me more. This gets more interesting the more I know. Queen is one of those exceptions.
You may
Fubar is
be
another
right,
great
but I
one.
think those estates just
know?
didn't see it that way. But
No,
sorry, CC, you
because
go
they
on.
don't
No, I
see
just
that way.
I'm just playing off what you're saying. It's like pick a point in time, right? Like I mentioned Fubar. Those movies, you may not have heard of them. But I think they're great. You know, just hoser movies, and there are hosers in a band, and it's hilarious, and it's just following that specific period of time. You know, in the events, and you're not covering 20, 30, 40 years of the band's history. Cover like one album. You know, it's like, okay, if you want to do a Pink Floyd biopic, do it on, say, Dark Side of the Moon, and make it that tour. Or
I'd
or
love
you
a
know,
story on animals. Just saying.
yeah.
Just saying.
So it's much more contained and easy to focus.
Yeah. And it would be entertaining. Once again, another career where the story would be entertaining as it goes along. That's because their career stayed that interesting for that long that you wouldn't have to worry about is the audience bored. Those stories are way too fascinating. Man, that's a missed opportunity for movies. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, the only one that seemed to have the balls to really get down and dirty with the actual reality of it was the Elton John one, to be honest with you.
Rocket Man was good. I'm sorry if there's an Elton John fan out there that hates it. I don't blame you, but I thought it was good.
It has the first gay sex scene in a major motion picture. And most
Still
people
a
don't
good
realize
movie.
it.
I still like Rocket Man.
They don't think about it. Why? Because it just goes naturally with the story. I mean, we all know he's gay, so whatever. Like, you know, same thing with Freddie Mercury, but that is sanitized as fuck. And, you know, you're right, Price. And I know a lot about, there's plenty of documentaries out there about Queen that'll give you a much better analysis of what they were and the story of what happened behind the scenes. And the movie was okay. My bigger problem wasn't even so much the sanitization of it as it were the fact that there was just so many things out of place for no good fucking reason.
Because
one of the main
they want
things,
to feel like they can make their story better. Kind of like how we see with Marvel
well,
and
it's
DC.
just
How
silly
can we
things.
do their story better?
Okay, I understand why they had Freddie find out that he had AIDS before Live Aid, although that's not what happened. Okay, I get that for the story, and I see where the story was and led up to and all that kind of shit. Fine. But the parts that bothered me was the little things like them recording News of the World in the 1980s when that was done in 1977.
Yeah,
And-
way out of place.
They compromised everything there.
It's not even
the
close
story,
musically.
But now the story was accurate as far as how they wrote the song and recorded it. That part was partially true. But when they why did you place it there? It had no reason to be placed there other than you wanted it to have something at this point in the story, I guess. But then they also act like Queen didn't have all these albums for years. It's like, yeah, they did.
Oh,
It's
dude.
like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, it's
That's
just
like-
all this shit that even a cursory fan would know. It's like, yeah, that's not accurate.
It's the equivalent of when Sharon Osbourne's a dumb bitch and acts like no Black Sabbath album outside of Ozzy Osbourne exists. I've seen that shit. Or when I think VH1 did like some piece on Judas Priest and they pretend Ripper Owens had 2 albums with Priest after Halford initially quit and rejoined in the 2000s. I hate it when that happens. And yeah, Queen suffered from that glory too. And it's unfortunate because there are a lot of good, lesser known songs from Queen that never
Well,
get
what
talked
that
about.
movie did, and that's kind of where I think Price was going from with like, yeah, you walk in and it's kind of like a fancy kind of jukebox musical of sorts that's really puffy, right? Like you give you kind of a rough idea of what happened with Queen coming together, touch on a few serious notes, but nothing that's going to really be a huge downer outside of the AIDS thing, right? Like, that's the only thing that they really kind of touched on that was reality. Other than that, the rest of it's kind of puffery around.
They just
puffery
couldn't
around
avoid
puffery.
that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. You can't avoid it, right? But anyway, it's just he's right. It was a movie that just reminded people that these guys had a deep ass catalog that you know all their songs. Right. That was the thing I noticed most after the Queen movie. And that's why I didn't bitch about it too much and actually encourage the film, because as somebody who's been a Queen fan for years and years and years, Queen ebbs and flows with them being popular in the zeitgeist. They're one of those bands that just comes back every 5 to 10 years for some reason. They get used in some movie somehow, like the famous story of Bohemian Rhapsody going to number one, during Wayne's World, being one of the few songs to hit number one twice, shit like that. Just little things like, or maybe it hit number two the original time and number one finally when Wayne's World. I can't remember the exact story, but something like that anyway, offhand. But then they had the resurgence with Mighty Ducks and some other stuff. And then, a couple of years after, Freddie died, and they finally bringing out some of the albums they finally got together and finished after he had passed. Then you had another little resurgence. And then, every few years, something will come along that'll revive and remind you that Queen existed at one time. They still try to remind you that they exist by bringing Adam Levine and all these other people in to sing. But it's like, dude, they're not Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury is most of Queen. And that's a big part of the movie that's a problem, is they try to make it more about the rest of the band when it's like, it's not, though. Sorry, guys, but the rest of the band is pretty fucking vanilla, right? Like, they're sadly almost interchangeable for the most part, because Freddie is the attraction.
I mean, Brian May is a good guitar player and musician. I think he is something
but he's
good.
vanilla as fuck.
But without Freddie Mercury, you're right. They don't have the edge without him.
Like Brian May, yeah, I'm sure he did some wild shit back in the day, but he ain't gonna allow them to say it or show it or anything like that. And another great example of this is like the NWA fucking biopic. Even though that one was rated R and did show a lot of the more realistic things, it did shy away from making certain members of the cast, that they're portraying look like some of the people they actually are. Like Dr. Dre, as much as I love him, it's well known that he used to beat the hell out of his women, right? Like, and they totally get away from that. They don't even touch on that shit. Like, so yes, there's always shit like that you go, well, they could have had it in there, but why did they leave it out? Or does it really feel like they should have? Now
there's too much at stake. Yeah. There's too much at stake. Yeah. There's business people and catalogs. Some of these catalogs are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They're not going to make a movie. They have to sign off to allow the licensing of these songs in the movie. And whoever the powers that be are, whether it's the actual artists or the record labels or whatever, they are not going to let the movie show these things that you speak of. They're going to show something that's always going to end up somehow presenting it in a positive light.
No
matter who it is.
I think that's the sad part, is when you present not every single thing, but for some they do, but most things that positive, because it's just dishonest. Hardships do happen, and I feel like hardships should be acknowledged because it makes your upbringings that much stronger when you rise back up. It's kind of like the hero villain arc. You watch a hero get broken down only to rise back up stronger than ever, and that is something that we've had a little bit of a hero arc with musicians, but yet all these stories are just about buttering them up at all costs. And that's unfortunate, because a lot of guys that have gone through unfortunately, they're all not perfect. I mean, look at Dave Mustaine, and I say as someone who's a big fan of him, he had issues up the ass, but it made him a better player, it made him a better musician, and to some degree, maybe even a bit of a better person. That's the stories that should be talked about, is the flaws amongst all those things. I feel like the flaws that make it that much more intriguing versus just buttering someone up just to shill.
Yeah. Bryant says, wasn't Sacha Baron Cohen supposed to play Freddie Mercury? Yes, he was. And he wanted to do a warts and all biopic, and the band wasn't about that. They wanted to protect a bit more of a family-friendly image. And Jason Webster brings in an Australian $5 dues. Says Freddie Mercury stipulated any film should be about Queen, and his personal life was not a topic for the film. Now, do you have an actual interview where he says this or anything in writing? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if I believe this. I mean, at the time, Freddie was kind of he was, but he wasn't private with his personal life, right? Like it was.
He lived in a different era too. If he said it while he
Yeah.
was alive, it wasn't as accepted. If he was alive today, he'd be, going out and talking about it 24/7 probably.
He was still quasi open about it enough. Because I mean, I even knew growing up that he was gay. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was like it wasn't like a secret. And this is even before we found out he had AIDS or anything like that. I remember the day. Not only do I remember the day he died, I remember the day I heard that he had AIDS. It's crazy. Like that was a moment in history that really kind of rocked the world, not to be punny with We Will Rock You, but it did. And it was just kind of weird because he was one of the few guys that I knew besides Elton John that even early on in my life as a young child that, you know, people knew that they were gay and they just didn't give a shit. Right?
Unfortunately, they didn't ask Rob Halford's opinion at the time because he was still in the closet. So Rob Halford had no comment at the time. That would have been nice. What did Rob Halford think? Oh shit, everyone's got AIDS. That's
And
like me.
technically, I mean, that's the other thing. You could talk about Elton and him being bi because even at that time, a lot of people were just still trying to figure out what gay was exactly.
I'll
And
give
how it was supposed to fit in their lifestyle or whatever. But yeah.
I'll give Bohemian Rhapsody credit for one thing in the movie is the fact that they made sure Freddie Mercury didn't make him being gay like a victim-based thing. And they actually like took punches at that in the movie. No, I'm not gonna have my last moments in life be remembered as being a victim. If you remember as he goes out to perform, they could have easily spun that, especially for people who don't know Queen. And they could have rolled with that, and people who don't know Queen would have said, "Oh, look, they said in the movie he must have always been victim obsessed." They could have easily done that, and shockingly, they didn't. And trust me when I say I was counting it every bit of it.
Well, and here's the thing. This may be, Jason, there could be some truth to this, but I don't know. I have a hard time believing that May couldn't just have made that up just because. And there's a historical thing where they're very prickly about when people talk about Freddie, and don't bring up Queen as a whole,
Mhm.
right? Like that does bother them. And I understand that. Totally do.
Well, they had to live with that for the rest of their life. The guy who is like
But
the vocalist plus who came out of the closet. I mean, it's tough. I can't
I also
imagine
have a
what's
hard time believing it because you got people like Corey Feldman who will come out and say, like, well, the other Corey told me it was up to me to tell our story. Like he knew the other Corey was going to die.
Mhm.
Like, what the fuck, dude? You're making shit up. You're just making shit up now. Anyway, that's a totally different scenario here. But look, people could say a lot of shit that people said after they died. And
Mhm.
you just have to take them at their fucking word for it, unfortunately. Or you don't. And in this case, I'm leaning towards I'm not going to believe Brian on that one.
But I think Prince, when he was alive and not a million years ago, he said he didn't want people to play his music afterwards. He had all these things that he wanted, and then he passed away, and none of his estate people even cared. They just did everything
Yeah.
he didn't want. They immediately did.
So in that
Mhm.
respect, I don't believe half of what those guys say after the fact.
And that's unfortunate. So too, there's no integrity in the business, and it's been that way for a long time too. It wasn't like a recent phenomenon. I mean, I've heard the stories from lots of, let's just say, lesser known bands from the 80s and 90s, bands that people youngins are even finding out now, like, hey, how did this band not get big in the 80s? And all it took was one shady manager, one shady deal, a bad lawyer, because at that time people were a lot more oblivious. They just thought, oh, it's a deal or it's management or it's a lawyer. These people have my best intentions in mind. What could go wrong? Well, hush. What we learn in retrospect, a lot of things can go wrong. And it's the internet that's helped save a lot of lesser known bands. And that's one of the reasons why I'm glad for the internet, because the internet's revived a lot of lesser known bands who never broke it big because they got the shaft in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, but at least they're gaining a younger audience. It may not be as big what it could have been potentially in the with heyday, but at least they're gaining an audience now. Better late than never. I mean,
Well, and
shit,
here's
dude.
some
Look at
Oren
Saxon.
Alton's got Oren Alteris has got a point, and I get it. I agree. Sometimes there's just no sense in getting into it, and that's kind of where I don't dump on the Queen movie so much. At the same time, my issues, like I said, have everything to do with the way reality and history was handled. It's like I know that just knowing it, right? Like because I lived it, right? That album came out before I was born. It was there. It was part of my life before that. It didn't get made in the 80s, for instance, that kind of a thing. Now, like I said, the part about him finding out he had AIDS before, who cares? That's not such a big deal. That just works for the dramaticness of the film. But like, here's a good example of something. Look how differently they portray the same character between the Elton John biopic, which we all seemingly agreed that was the better representation of reality for those who actually saw it on the panel here anyway. Even with it has a lot of gay stuff in it. Let's be real, but it's part of the story. Well, the character that hurt Elton the most in that movie is the character Miami from the Queen film. They're the same guy in reality. They are the same person. Because this guy worked with both Elton and Queen and a bunch of other bands. Most people don't even realize that because he's portrayed as such a fun-loving, awesome dude in the Queen film. But in the Elton John film, he's like the devil for what he does to Elton, right? Like we actually feel sorry for Elton in that part, right? You're like, damn, that dude did him dirty. That's the same dude. Same dude. So yeah, there was a lot more gay people involved than what even the Queen movie wants to pretend. They like to pretend that that Freddie was the only gay person there. That's not even true. Besides his other friend that stabbed him all in the back too. He's got that other buddy too. That's the thing. The other thing about the Queen movie I didn't understand is like, do you realize that the only people in the like every gay person in that movie is portrayed as a villain aside from Freddie?
Yeah, which
I can't believe nobody said shit about that.
They should have. They should have.
And that's just because they didn't let you know Miami was gay.
There was one at the end that he was in a relationship with, and then he presented.
That's the
him
only
to
other
his family.
one. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
They tried at least to sort of pedal back on that,
And yeah, Mr. TT's right. Gay people were invented in 2016. I apologize. Yeah. So I wish I could agree with this. Jason Webster Freddie stipulated that any film should be about Queen and his personal life, not the topic for the film. But unfortunately, with it only being Brian May being the one who said it,
if that's the case, that's fine and all. But I'm still gonna push back against Brian May. Well, then dive into your lesser known material about Queen, because there's so much music glossed over. It was the utmost normie level surface entry thing. Give people ideas of what the band was truly made about, the weirder stuff and all. Don't just say, okay, well, we can't make it about his personal life. Okay, well, they get into the weird stuff with Queen, because Queen had a lot of it, and it was good. It was really good. I don't care what lack of attention or love it got. It was good.
Yeah, and we went way off course of Bee Gees. Because honestly, the Bee Gees are some of the most milquetoast motherfuckers in the world.
Hey, they have
their tragedy came in the fact that the brothers just started dying off of fucking what was it, cancer? I think the two of them had it.
They have their fans, and I respect that. Even though I'm not vastly familiar with them, besides their 3 songs on the radio,
they've had a lot more than that, actually, Nick.
Well, they probably do. They
wrote for a lot more artists actually than you'd realize. Go ahead.
I just exposed my norminess.
Family friendly choices.
I'm just trying to make a point that they have their fans, and I hope they get the best movie possible out of it.
You would be surprised how many songs the Gibbs wrote for other people, man. They may have actually, CC, help me out here. There may even be, I'd have to go through the number. They probably wrote more hits for other people than they did themselves.
Wow, that's generous.
I'm not actually that familiar with the Bee Gees. Like I'm aware of them.
Well, you being the music
really
guy, I was referring to you, but
it's just that but you're right though. Like they're very milquetoast, and it's a family friendly, easy selection to make a wholesome movie about. Nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing risky about it. It's
unless there's something in their life I don't know about, because they were pretty basic, but they did do a lot of stuff for the industry. They produced a lot of stuff. Like Even the song Grease from Grease. Grease is the word, is
I
the
knew
word.
that
Barry
song.
Gibb wrote that.
Oh, I didn't know that. See?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, like I said, I just hope fans get their money's worth. I just hope that. And if you're out there and you're a Bee Gees fan, I just hope you are happy with what you get, genuinely speaking. So
Yeah,
I got
C6
nothing.
is right. Once you've been labeled as the music guy, you got to know everything about music.
That's why I've never made the claim of.
No, the
of
sad part
music.
is this would be a perfect night for Brian to show up. And what night does he not fucking show up?
I know the right.
He probably
one
knows the most
time.
above all of us besides Six about the Bee Gees, probably. And I don't know if Six is working or busy or what, but she's in the chat. I see in the chat. You know, you can hop in anytime, Six. Just saying. Yeah. You don't need an invitation. You got the link.
Yeah, right.
Although this is an invitation if you want to pop in. You know that. You can always join us anytime. Anytime. Here. But anyway, that being said, we are about to end. So if you actually join now, we will be ending. But yeah, Grease is the word that you've heard. You're a nerd. It's true. Yes. 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 Speaking of jive talking, Captain Palsy reminds us that stewardess, I speak jive. Oh, that's why. Well, I did do the Bee Gees things. Figured maybe you pop in.
That's fair. I mean, if you're not interested, you're not interested. I mean,
it did de-evolve into a Queen and Metallica
that was
discussion, but
talked
yeah.
about the Bee Gees movie. It wasn't the X-Men that did it was the Bee Gees that did that. That's why. At least the X-Men thing, we stayed on topic with that. And then when the Fantastic Four and Pedro Pascal was talked about it, that at least with them, we stayed on subject.
That's
so
my new name. That's a
credit.
good Klobby. Have you come up with that one, or is that one his?
I took inspiration from Klobby for that one.
Pedro Pascal.
No, but I'll definitely glad I've inspired you, Nicholas.
I was actually thinking about Klobby.
It's when the student becomes the teacher.
I straight up was thinking about Klobby. I'm like,
there you go.
A good name because
I like it. Well done, my young Padawan.
Yes. I was like, I need a good name.
Sometimes young grasshopper.
I remember I was eating some chips and dip, and all of a sudden it occurred to me. I'm like, that's it.
Well done, you have.
Cool.
Sometimes they come to you like Biclops.
Biclops
to me earlier.
Good one.
There were some good ones. Oh, this is one we didn't even touch on that I thought that we can get a laugh. Here we go. We can go out on a laugh here. Fuck it. Because I'm looking forward to Dune. But that being said,
the popcorn bucket, dude.
No, well, there's something that goes along with the popcorn bucket. I don't know if you saw Zendaya at the premiere, but I heard she's fluent in over 600 million forms of communication.
Zendaya looks
like cyborg relations. Wow.
I got to find out though. Does she speak Bocce?
For someone without a last name, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Sick with language to her.
Now here's the thing. I'm worried and curious if she turns around and shows us her ass, because she does have like these assless chap things on. But does she really have an ass to show? Is that going to get us shut down?
She's still dating Tom Holland.
Yeah, she's still with Tom Holland.
That's not him though.
No, that's the guy she was fucking last summer.
What?
I see what you did.
I don't know for sure, but I'm just assuming because. But yeah, people have been coming up with like She 3PO, Z3PO.
I heard the Z3. I thought that was good.
I said, well, either way, I mean, clearly her pronouns are now.
I thought it was a remake of Metropolis.
I know that too. That was the first thing I had. Prince Lang, he came up with that one or something.
Yeah, Prince Lang's Metropolis.
Yeah, this is definitely a Toxic Femme topic 6. I'm sure it will come up on the next Toxic Femme. I just got a laugh out of it. I did. I had to laugh at it. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, it's like, do you ever stop to think, have you gone too far? like, Lady Gaga in the meat dress. What's her face in the Swan? I can never fucking say her name, Bjork or whatever. York. Like this shit. Like, you ever think maybe that was just one step too far? No, I guess not. But anyway, We need to get out of here, guys. It's been 2 hours. It's 8 o'clock. I got a video Andre expects me to edit before morning.
Oh, you got to meet your deadlines.
I
Gotta
do.
meet those deadlines.
Clobby, what you got going on?
A little less than an hour. I got the clubhouse with my wonderful first officer, Raquel, and the great Muck D with the C. We'll be having a Blake 7 episode review, a Star Trek comic review, and much more. And then tomorrow night over at my good buddy J Man's channel for a Frank Miller, continuing our review of Frank Miller's great Daredevil run, and then maybe hanging with Nick later. He'll tell you about that. And then Saturday night Star Trek, which ideally takes place on Saturday night. And yeah.
All right. Nick, you heading over to comics?
I will be on Thursday Night Throwdown in 1 hour. We'll be definitely talking about some of the things we talked about tonight, so I'll be fun. So do hang out with us if you're going to TNT. If you're already a Clubhouse watcher, stick to your guns and stick with the Clubhouse because that's a fun place to be. I would know I've hung out there a few times. And on my channel, we have the Com Shot Talk, Toxic Tuesday next week, talking Flash Gordon. I'll have a video out as well Saturday as well. And I'm going to do also a random stream Saturday. I don't know if it'll be a member stream or what, but I'll be on West from Thinking Criticals, Comics Aficionados Saturday morning. So yes, if you liked what I had to say about how awful F4 looks and how awful X-Men looks, come check out my channel. It'd be good to have you on because that's where we go to get away from the bullshittery. Thanks for having me, Tom, and good hanging out with you, Bobby, Price, and CC. To all our several hundred people in the chat, I hope to see a lot of you soon, as always. And if you're not on TNT or Clubby's Clubhouse, have a great night. Thanks for having me.
All right, CC, Loki Oki tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Pacific time, we got karaoke, which follows Loki's late show at 8 p.m. Pacific time. We sing songs.
Should be there. At least
sometimes
we
butcher them. Tom's usually there. Price of Reason's usually there, and Fire Breathing Dragon's usually there as well. We have fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Indeed. And Price, what you got going
on? Tonight I have on my live channel we're doing our classic Quantum Leap rewatch party, which we do on Thursdays. That's going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern.
What's tonight's episode?
It's Blind Faith. It's the one where he's a blind man. He leaps into a blind man.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I remember that one too. Yeah.
Hot dog.
So, yeah, it's a kind of thing that if people like that classic show, it's a nice stream that we do. It's very positive. It's very celebratory, and everybody's invited, of course.
Speaking of positive, we're doing the Midnight's Edge bromance show Sunday, right, Tom?
I hadn't announced it yet, but yeah, that's basically there you go. That's the topic for Sunday night's shit list.
I'm sorry.
We're doing top 5 bromance films.
Top 5 bromance movies. Yeah.
And I will always love you, bro.
Oh, I can't.
So yeah, get ready for some of the gayest, non-gayest, erotic stuff you've ever seen in your life. So yeah, we're gonna get to that. So yeah, that's what I got coming up, I guess, other than wherever I pop up between here and the morning show tomorrow and all that good stuff. So thank you guys again for hanging out with me and on the panel and all the mods in the chat for helping out. We appreciate that. I seen we had some bots and shit earlier, which is a rarity. But we actually hit like 700 folks here at one point. So that was crazy. Really good night tonight. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully you hit the like button. Yeah, with that, we're going to say arrivederci or hasta la vista or I don't know, something.
This sucks. Yeah, it really sucks.
I got molested in the little boy's room.